Let's take a little rain break.
Oh, no doubt about it. And sometimes rainy days, not necessarily in the form of needing an umbrella, but sometimes needing a good health care plan. And it's that time of year where folks are looking to opt in or opt out of a plan. And it can be downright difficult if you don't have the right guidance. And sometimes you just need somebody with a bit higher pay grade than you are to sort that out, Karen.
Yeah, that's why we've got health insurance expert Danny O'Connell joining us today. Good morning, Danny. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, good. We've all gotten our postcards, we've gotten our emails, and we've got to start looking ahead at selecting an insurance plan. And at least in my case, I've noticed every year it seems to change a little bit more.
It does, absolutely. You've got changes legislatively, and then you also have changes within carriers and states and insurance companies.
It can be a daunting task, Danny, because you look at each year, you get a little bit of a booklet, sometimes before you make the choice, but a lot of times it seems like it comes along after the fact. There's about 40 pages. The first 2 or 3 pages tells you what you're going to pay, and then the last 37 pages are what's included or what the exclusions are to the policy. And it's almost like pulling teeth. It's a painful experience to do, and it just, for me, it was just a time when I'm not sure I wanted to invest that much time in figuring out what to do, but now it's more important than ever, it seems.
It is, and purchasing has changed, and it changes every year. So people are more doing it on their own. I recommend a lot of times to look up an agent in your area who is licensed and is an expert with this, to work with them. There should not be a difference in cost and health plans, whether you do it on your own, go online, or if you work with somebody.
All right. Let's say we're going to get it through work, though. We get these choices. Do we go with the more expensive plan with a different deductible than the lower price plan? You've got some that have more specific lists of doctors. You've got some that seem to be more open to different doctors. You've got the in-network, out-of-network. I sometimes just get overwhelmed and think, can't I just have what I had last year?
Sure. Those are all very good questions and points every year. You always want to check with your providers. If you can, be sure that they're going to continue working with that insurance company and be contracted in network. And then it's looking at what your expectations are. Are you an individual that you live with a chronic condition and you have to see a specialist and you're on regular name brand drugs? Are you a normally, routinely healthy person that maybe goes 2 to 3 times a year and maybe you're looking for something a little more catastrophic?
Okay, so let's say you're a healthy person, you go 2 to 3 times a year. What option would, on paper, be best for you?
Well, it's hard to give anybody just blanket advice without knowing a specific situation. However, lots of those people will look at more catastrophic type plans, bronze plans, higher deductibles that allow to have a health savings account in addition to the plan where you put money aside on a pre-tax basis, and it'll roll over every year, so you can kind of build up a nest egg or a savings. It's understanding that you're going to pay less in premium typically, but you're going to pay more when you actually go in for treatment. So if you start to get on those higher name brand drugs, it can be tougher.
Okay, so generics are still, if you can get away with generics, those are still very much the way to go. Now, Danny O'Connell, a healthcare expert, some big companies are starting their own in-house healthcare facilities, right? Folks like FedEx and some other big companies are trying to help you reduce costs too, right?
Sure, and everybody's set up a little bit differently. You're also seeing hospital systems go through and set up their own health plans, which we kind of first saw with this happening when the health care plan was passed. So your employer may even offer you a plan now that just covers a hospital system with really a regional geographic footprint.
We've had that a lot here in the Mid-South where we have 2 main hospitals in Memphis. One is Baptist and one is Methodist. And most times you would have a plan would put you either on the Baptist plan or the Methodist plan. But now I've seen more and more healthcare plans where not only are the hospitals involved in their particular hospital on property, they have a whole lot of other doctors' offices and all kinds of other areas branching out that are still under their umbrella.
Correct. That whole system.
Yeah.
All their affiliates could be in there. Correct.
Okay. Very good. Danny O'Connell, a healthcare expert, thank you for joining us this morning on Memphis Morning News and helping us sort this out. I know a lot of folks, their deadline's coming up in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, so it's always important to kind of take a look at something that could have not just the short-term impact of making the decision itself, but also for the health and financial well-being of individuals, too. Thank you so much.
And I guess in the end, we just need to know that there are people, hopefully, in our companies, if you're going through a workplace insurance plan, there are people in our companies that can help us and answer any questions we might have.
That's correct.
All right, call those folks. Find that number. That's the hard part. Who are you supposed to call? So maybe that's on the postcard or your email somewhere. Danny O'Connell, thanks so much for joining us today.
Bye-bye.
888 say ah.
Yeah, right. So I just look at that stuff and I throw it on the counter and I'll go back and look at it later. But with kids, you have to look at your insurance differently. You're going to notice things different now for you, Tim, since you have a 2-year-old and, you'll be at the doctor and you'll be sicker than you've ever been. I went 9 years without a sick day at work and then I had a kid and once my son was like 1.5, I had my first sick day ever.
Oh, wow.
So, those little kids can be germy. As you know, already having strep throat this year.
Ear infections,
right?
Strep throat, all kinds of different things. Yeah, when you add kids to the mix, I can just imagine for those for folks with multiple kids such as yourself, it can be kind of a mental landmine to try to figure out what the best plan is and try to look ahead. So,
right. So that's
why I do sympathize for sure.
That's why I have a note at the back door. It says, "Wash your hands and say your prayers because Jesus and germs are everywhere." So wash your hands.